Peace, what's up? What's going on? Unique Mecca Hall, known as Unique Mecca Audio. Welcome to the VladTV show.
Thank you, brother. Thank you.
Yeah, so I'm going to jump right into it, right? So you were born in 1964, May 8th, 1964, to Aston Hall and Mary Garvey in Kingston, Jamaica. Now, the name Garvey, that stands out. Mm-hmm. So on a little research, we find out that your mother's father and Marcus Garvey were first cousins.
Yes.
So that's heavy lineage, obviously. Mm-hmm. That might explain a lot about.
I grew up seeing pictures. I grew up seeing pictures of Marcus Garvey and my grandfather in our home in Jamaica. But as a kid, you don't pay that no mind. You don't know what's going up afar, and that's what we call America. You don't know what's going on. So, I've seen pictures and never paid it no mind. And then, when I come afar, and that's what we call America. When I come up here, I got, right into, survival mode. So as far as learning the history and things like that, being that I wasn't in school, never really learned it. And no disrespect, to my legacy, never really cared about it. I was just worried about surviving in this new world. That was cold as hell.
Yeah, that made a lot of sense. It made a lot of sense. And I'm sure that your great cousin would completely understand you going at it like that. So you grew up in Kingston. Kingston is now still a struggler's place, and it was a struggler's place even more so back then, right? So you grew up very poor, and on many occasions went to bed without eating. Tell us about the early years of your life and how you managed as a very small kid in Jamaica before you left.
Like my first memory that I remember the most that I tell my grandkids about, I'm an old man now, been in jail 26 years. So, my children were 7. I come out of jail 26 years later and I got grandkids 7. You know what I mean? So if you could understand that. But, I didn't get my first pair of shoes until I got my visa and I was getting ready to come on the plane to come to America, which was January 15th, 1972. And the first day I came up, I had a little thin suit, you know what I mean? And my first pair of shoes when I was getting ready to get on the plane to come to America. But, growing up down there, I remember things as far as we lived right across the street from the police station. Anybody in Jamaica know of 16 Wellington Street, Franklinton, Gully, 16, So we right across from the police station. So I grew up, watching the police bring in criminals. And we had one TV channel in Jamaica, and all that showed was John Wayne movies and cowboy movies. You know what I mean? So that's where the names, the posse, like up here we say crews. That's where posses come from, because they used to round up posses to go get the bad guys. You know what I mean? So when we started becoming bad guys, we started being labeled as posses, So the police used to bring people in, and they on a horseback, just like in the movie, and they got them tied up with a piece of rope. You know what I mean? And they got the criminal dragging them behind with the horse. When they fall down, they kept going and dragging them. And as a kid, I'm seeing this. But growing up down there, seeing that and hearing the people talk about it, it was like, our superheroes. Those same men that was being dragged by horses, through the town to get to the police station. So it's not like no one ever said, oh, here's a doctor, here's a lawyer, here's a plumber even, here's a garbage man. Because we didn't even have garbage men. We had what them call a gully. And where I'm at, Kingston 16, the gullies separate where I'm at. You know what I mean? So it's like you just go throw your garbage out. You didn't have garbage men. So there's no professions to look up to other than the criminal, aspect of life. You know what I mean? So, of course, when they bringing him in, everybody's talking about why he got arrested. You know what I mean? Like, oh yeah, he had sex with a 15-year-old girl or 12-year-old girl, or he raped a girl, or he was robbing, the stores, or he was robbing people, and you hearing these things. But then now, those didn't really stick to me until, and this is what shaped, who I became. And let me say for the record, I'm not proud of it, not bragging about it, nothing like that. That's why I got my YouTube channel at Unique Mecca Audio. You know what I mean? 'Cause I try and tell the youth so they understand that as high as I made it up the totem pole, it wasn't worth it. You know what I mean? And for the first time, I watched my YouTube channel with my mother, who's 87, because she's living up here now. So she watched the joint that I did with Matula Shakur's son, tribute to my son's birthday last Thanksgiving, and she was proud of me. You know what I mean? And it's nothing more than, a mother being proud of what you do. And, back to Jamaica, so you understand, when the people from the island left to come a foreign, so I might switch back into Jamaica and come back and forth. So
do that.
no
man.
pay, no mind. When them come a foreign and them do them things and them start, sell them corn and, that's weed, them, do them things up, yeah. And they send money back. They became heroes. That became our Robin Hoods. You know what I mean? Those are the ones. And then when they came down, they brought big barrels. The clothes used to be shipped in barrels that was solid so that, whatever is in it, whether it's appliances or whatever, don't break, and you pack it between the clothes. But when they came down with barrels of, American goods. When we had nothing back then, let's say a Twinkie in Jamaica might cost $15. You know what I mean? For a Twinkie. Yeah, for a Twinkie, like $15 that in America costs 10 cents. You know what I mean? Because the money ratio was different.
Exchange,
yeah, but now when these men come back down and they're coming with barrels of clothes, with radio and TV, and I never even see a color TV until, even when I came to America, I didn't see a color TV. My neighbor had a color TV, used to watch the baseball games on, but we didn't have a color TV in our house until we moved to a house out in New Jersey. You know what I mean? But just to go back, meaning, so imagine somebody sending a color TV to Jamaica back then. That's the hero.
Thing, yeah.
You know what I mean? And everybody's talking about, oh man, Unique send this, or Cavario send this, or Bootsy send this, you know what I mean? Or D send this. So it's like, those became the heroes of the land.
Right.
So
you grew up in that as a 8-9-year-old kid.
I grew up in that. I grew up in that. You know what I mean? From those years, like you said, but it's like you're seeing this and you're hearing this. So it's like, this is what you have to do to get respect.
So at what point, when you come to that conclusion, this being crime, you have to be able to get to the resources so you can do things like that and get the respect and be a hero in the hood, whatever. So at what point, as a small child in yard, did you start to say, I have to get out here and do things?
No, but see, that's what I'm saying. My life is unique. You know what I mean? To, no pun intended. Mm-hmm. The way it was growing up over there, it's like, we don't know they're doing crime in America. You know what I mean?
Right.
Because what's being told to us is that they got money growing on trees in America. You just walk out the door and pick money off trees like leaf pine tree. That's what I grew up hearing from I was 7, 6 years old. You go foreign and my money, I drop on the ground like dirt. You know what I mean? No one is saying they up there robbing, killing, selling drugs. None of that is even told to us. You know what I mean? Because we don't know what's going on. And when a child goes to America and their parents is still back in Jamaica, the child is not telling the mother, yeah, me go juke a man today and take 15 kilos out. Me go do this. They just send home a barrel of clothes and they say, oh, my baby up there doing good in America. And then you look out for the neighbors and everybody happy. You know what I mean? But nobody know the bloodshed, the struggle that was going on up there. You understand? And don't forget, it wasn't like, because we was all soldiers. I was a child soldier. We was all soldiers.
That's what I want to.
Yeah, now we're going to get into that. Let me ride. Mm-hmm. All right. Now, we was all soldiers. So it's like when you go to America, you join a crew. You know what I mean? Which later, like I said, was labeled as posses. But once you get with that posse and you start doing you had casualties. You had people that died, people that got killed, people that got murdered, people that got decapitated. You understand? But none of those bodies were sent back like in the military to say that he died at war. You know what I mean? It just be like, oh, such and such died in America. And it was downplayed. You know what I mean? And, I think a lot of the violence came from growing up where we didn't go to a local butcher shop to see them, to go buy a chicken already killed and the feathers plucked and things like that. You got chickens growing in the yard and you grab a chicken and your grandfather tell you, hold the chicken down and stretch out the neck. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. And your grandfather chop off the chicken neck and the blood squirt up in your face and you drop the chicken and the neck and the chicken running around with no head on it. You know what I mean? And as a little child, I'm like, oh, snap. You know what I mean? You scared to death. But now when you see that and your grandfather say, way out there, stop being a blood clot looking gal. You know what I mean? I just chicken nut. You know what I mean? So it's like you lose humanity. You understand what I'm saying? To care about life. You know what I mean? Because your grandfather telling you at 6, 7 years old, don't jump because you see a chicken get his head cut off. So as you grow up, a chicken get his head cut off or a human getting his head cut off, it in your mind, it blends in as one. You know what I mean? So that's why when Jamaicans come up here, you know, back in those times, people look at it like, we was evil, we was this, we was that. No, we were surviving. We had to chop the chicken head off to eat. So if a man come try and rob your herb gate, you might have to chop his head off so you can continue to eat.
Or the goat, or the cow.
Exactly. But we use that local chicken because I remember holding on the chicken from my grandfather and then my chop off the neck. You know what I mean? And the chicken running around with no head. First day I was scared. After that, I used to kick the chicken. You know what I mean? It
Chicken headless chicken?
Yeah, the chicken running with no head. And they running crazy because they got no head. So the chicken is going to run into you. So when the chicken run into you, your grandfather said, kick him. So you kick the chicken out the way. And you got no feeling for, you know what I mean? And like in America, they care about dogs and cats. You know what I mean? Dog get old, you take him out back, chop his head off and throw him in the gully. You understand what I'm saying? Think about somebody saying right now they chop off a head of a dog in 2022. You know what I mean? Or kill a cat in 2022. They say, oh, no, call the ASPCA. But in Jamaica, that was the norm. You know what I mean? You can't eat because your food is limited. Or you could give it the dog the little bit of scraps you have. So we have what we call in Jamaica a maga dog. You know what I say? A maga dog is a skinny dog. You know what I say? So you have a maga dog that come up to you and him get too maga where you see him ribs that stick out and them things there. Grandfather say, oh, him no worth nothing, no. Just chop off him head and put him in a gully. You understand what I'm saying? And just as simple as that. So imagine you at 7 years old hearing your grandfather say, chop off the dog head and get rid of him. Him too maga. You know what I mean? Him can't do nothing. Only thing was worth something down there was the cat. You know what I mean? Because they kept the rats away. But me, myself, at 58, I'm scared of cats. I'm going to talk about that maybe on your joint, Cavario. But I'm scared to death of cats. If I go to somebody's house and there's a cat on the front step and I got to walk up to that front door, I'm going to throw a rock at that cat. I'm going to say, shoo that cat, but I'm not walking nowhere near that cat. You understand what I'm saying? Because I was traumatized and from the stories in Jamaica, because it's very superstitious down there, where they say the cat walked the earth in the body of the devil. You know what I mean? That's why they could see in the dark. You know what I mean? And you walking and a cat come swiveling out from behind an old dark building, and you already scared to walk by the building, and here come a cat come out. You understand what I'm saying? So your grandfather tell you, oh, no, the devil that. Don't pay him no mind. Just ignore him. You know what I mean? So it was a lot of stories that was told from growing up in the island that affect me. You know, I'm talking about me. And I'm sure certain things affected other people growing up in Jamaica. You understand what I'm saying? That they took into their adulthood.
All right. So there was a point when you were a child that there was a really dangerous political environment. Mm-hmm. And you got involved in some of the political behavior that was, part of that. How old were you? What were the things that you were involved with? And how did that ultimately lead to you leaving Yard or Jamaica?
All right. In the early 70s, when Michael Manley, first came up down there and got into power, we saw where it was going. Like they picked certain areas that they wanted to build up. You know what I mean? When I say build up, that, they're building little shanty houses. Those are little huts, but they call it building up. So, when he's running for office and then when he started, when Ciega came down and then they started, having the two different parties, vying for votes, like how you got the Democrats and the Republicans right now. When you got them vying for votes, they didn't give us picket signs and tell us to go pass out pamphlets and hold up a sign. You know what I mean? They gave us, bottles with gas in it, with cloth in it. And they tell you, see that ballot box, throw that over there and burn that down because they're not vote for our people anyway. We don't need them in our neighborhood. I don't know why they put them over here. So, and you know what I mean? So, just from that, and my mother and father at the time was in America trying to save up money to bring us up. So, of course, they heard about, the struggles and where everything was brewing up to. So from hearing that, they started making an escape force. So at first, being that I had 3 brothers, 3 sisters, I had 6 brothers and sisters. My mother was told to, bring up the oldest ones and leave the youngest ones. Then she was told to bring up the youngest ones and leave the oldest ones. But my mother was like, nah, I'm bringing up all my kids at one time because all of them got to get out there. I don't want to leave nobody behind in that. You understand what I'm saying? So my mother wound up, she was working as a aide up here for some, Europeans, we call them white people, you know what I mean? She working for them up here as far as like nurses aid and things like that, living caretaker. And then she got in a car accident and got a lawsuit, got some money. So the first thing she did with her money was send for all of us and brought us up here. But when we came up, we wasn't told that it was a political war. We never even heard those words, politics, growing up. You know what I mean? It was more like an invasion into our area and we protecting our area. So, when I come to America, it's not like, mom said, oh, don't get involved in the political disc, because I'm a kid. You know what I mean? But now I go visit my family members that's in Brooklyn. And from being with my family members in Brooklyn, you know what I mean? These are the older ones that's 15, 16, when I was like 8, 9. And that's where we learned all of this, you know what I mean, as far as survival. You know what I mean? And, that's what it is.
That's when you got here.
Yeah, that's when I got here.
What led to you leaving Yard?
What led to me leaving was all the political violence that was going on that I didn't know was political. You know what I mean?
Were you participating?
Yes, that's what I'm telling you. They used to give us bottles with gas in it to throw, rocks to throw.
So they had you doing arson work.
Yeah, I mean, I don't call it none of that. They even looked at none of that. Bottom line is I was keeping the enemy out. You know what I mean? So, it's not like, I knew what the agenda was. The agenda to me was keeping the enemy out and keeping our area safe.
By setting fire to things.
Yeah, you understand what I'm saying?
So what ultimately happened?
But as I got older, if where you're getting at, as I got older, when I got to America, now my older family members, they explained to me what was really going on. And that's where I really learned it from up here. And that's when, shout out to Chinaman, used to have everybody put in a certain amount of money so that they could get barrels to send back. That's our Barry Vessel, big shout out family, Donnie Boyens, I know all thing, Tony Tough on everybody, That's where they used to send barrels back, and, buy guns and send guns back, which was considered as vote getters. Because it's no longer, we're talking about in 72, so we didn't have guns like that. You know what I mean? Because it wasn't even a gun problem in America then. So we was using rock, stones, bottles, and knives, and, we made what they call a one-pop, which is a gun out of a handlebar. We take a bullet and you put it in a handlebar and cut the handlebar. You remember what's that? Guns. Yeah, the swing handlebars. So, you make a one-pop. You know what I mean? And, that's what created, like Delroy Uzi. You know what I mean? That's a whole nother topic.
Uzi
you know what I mean?
Yep.
Yeah.